Okay, this video is going to be about the mystery of the mammoth. Mammoths have been found more or less intact, frozen, many carcasses, mainly over Siberia, but in other parts of the world. I want to cover my theory on as to how and why they died. There were two floods germane to this topic. One was the Catabo, which was at the end of the first Earth Age, and the second one was the famous flood of Noah. Now, in Hebrew, it said it flooded all over the whole earth. Hebrew only has less than 7,000 words in it, so they use indefinite tense and indefinite particles to describe time and space. So you have to use the sentence and the context it is in to understand it. Like when the prophet shut down the rain, it didn't rain in the whole of the earth, the word Eretz, for 3 years. That didn't mean it didn't rain in the rainforest or on Madagascar or even in Rome. It meant it didn't rain anywhere that was germane to the story, specifically Israel, Egypt, and the environs thereof. So when it talks about a worldwide flood, the Noahic flood, it's talking about a flood specifically sent by God to destroy the line of Noah the line of Adam that was corrupted and only saved Adam's family. So the fountains of the great deep were where the Bosphorus Straits are, and what it did, it says the fountains of the great deep broke up and then it rained. So the people living in the bottom where the Black Sea is currently now would look up and they would see this water coming out of where the Mediterranean was and still is, and the fountains of the great, it was called the Great Deep. And then as the water came surging through, it flooded the whole land and killed all the line of Adam except for Noah's family. Now, there were people, other parts of the earth, the six-day creation. You can look this up. There's the mystery of people always are asking, well, why are there two sets of creation stories in Genesis? Well, there was man created on the 6th day and man created on the 8th day. So you need to look that up, the 8th day creation. But anyway, back to the mammoth. So although the flood was localized, when I say localized, it covered the entire Black Sea area and wiped out that line. And the Black Sea is a big area, and obviously several hundred miles, it got the water sloshed around and destroyed everything there. I mean, at the bottom of the Black Sea, there's villages. You can just see where it happened. Although it wasn't a true worldwide flood like the Catabo, it did have worldwide implications. When you move that much water around, it's transferring heat, and there's a theory about a thing called the Vela supernova fragment that came through the planetary system. That may be it. I don't know, something neat to check out. But regardless, the fountains of the great deep were broken open, and then it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, which is a way of saying a long time. But the mammoths, this obviously caused, I believe this is when the earth was tilted on its axis from straight up and down to the degree we have now, and it caused massive wind changes. There might have been the pole shift, I don't know. Einstein bought into the pole shift theory. I don't know that the pole actually shifted, but not the way they're talking about it. So it caused massive windstorms and massive, the jet stream probably dipped down, and that's what preserved a lot of the mammoths. You know, they found them with buttercups undigested in their mouth and in their stomach. They were dead because there was fly pupa. The meat was actually a little bit rotten. Yes, the dogs ate it after it thawed out, but no humans ate it that I actually know of. But anyway, they were found with broken hips and broken legs, and you can see these are huge animals. Here's my hand, and I'm pretty far away from it. But these were giant animals, and a lot of them were found standing up. So they died all suddenly from the Noahic flood. And the Romans called these, named them mammoths, meaning earth mole, because they had this weird theory that they lived in the earth, and when they came out, the sun killed them. So much of the ivory back then for decoration was actually mammoth ivory. They would just find them and dig it out, because it's just easier than getting it from walruses, which I don't even think they knew about, or the African elephant, the other source of ivory at the time. There's a mystery, you know, according to the common timeline, it's thought that mammoths, the last mammoths, lived on an isolated island off the coast of Russia up until about 3,000 years ago, depending on who you subscribe to. But I contend they lasted a lot longer. There's a tale of the American Indians about, in Minneapolis, and that has to do with the American mastodon, not the mammoth itself. This is the American mastodon. So the Indians called the mastodon the grandfather of the buffalo, because it was much bigger, obviously, but it kind of resembled a buffalo for the only other animal that it was nearly to. And they pointed at this. The legends pointed at this waterfall and said that's where the grandfather of the buffalo lived. And then one day it dried up, and they found mastodon skeletons in there. So the mastodons, probably the Indians probably hunting them up to, in America, probably up until about 1400, because they'll stay in legend for a while. There may even be a couple in Siberia somewhere. I don't really think so, but there might be. And I'll let this run a little bit here. So anyway, this is a pretty cool exhibit they have here at the Whitty Museum, so I'm going to cover a few of the other things while I got it here. Here's the woolly rhinoceros. Pretty cool. Now, this, they can't even help themselves on some things. Like here's a Neanderthal skull near a Cro-Magnon skull. There's the supposed the Neanderthal skull and the Cro-Magnon skull. Now, if you look at it from the side, the only difference is it's a little bit more hardier in the ridge brows, or it doesn't stick out any more in the face than the other one. Get it from the top. Yet in the picture for the Cro-Magnon man, he looks obviously like a modern man. And in this one, they make him more ape-like with a long face. So they can't even help themselves about that. They have to make him more ape-like. Here's the Irish elk, which actually got hunted out by humans. And they're talking about bringing this one back too. There's enough genetic material to do that. In my other video where I cover climate change, I talk about the change of the Earth's, what causes climate change. So let's cover what they have here. And I'll read it for you so you can hear it. During the Pleistocene Ice Age, the last of Earth's 5 great ice ages, Earth's orbit around the sun took a slight different course. The gases of the atmosphere changed. Global temperatures plummeted and a drier, colder climate emerged. As the Earth froze, ice sheets grew at the poles, extended far south as present-day New York and Chicago. Glaciers formed in mountainous regions. Earth's mammals were forced to adapt to new conditions, and so on. But the main thing I want to point out here is they're talking about Earth's orbit took a slightly different course. That's the Chandler wobble and Milankovitch cycle. I talk about it in my climate change video. So, you know, like I said, they can't even help themselves on some things. But that's what caused the Ice Age. Again, they can't help themselves on it. If you'll note the high ridge brow on the Cro-Magnon. Note the eye ridge brow. That happens as you get older. If you've ever had my ridge brow, I'm in my 50s, and my ridge brow has grown. Your ridge brow grows your entire life. So what you have with the Neanderthal skulls are people before the Noahic flood, and yeah, they were bent over a little bit because they were so old they had arthritis. So their brain capacity was actually higher than ours. So what killed the mammoths and the mastodons and a lot of this megafauna was the Noahic flood, and it although it caused worldwide problems, the epicenter of it was the Black Sea region. Now here's the famous cave bear here, the short-faced cave bear. Now they don't have this one quite big enough. It's a little shorter than me at the shoulders. It should be 6 feet if you want to get an impressive, because they were up to 6 feet at the shoulder. So this one's not quite as tall as me. It's pretty cool looking though. So there was some this actual size. Let's go over to here to another mistake I just want to point out. So here they have the dire wolf. There's a lot of infamous, it's talked about in the HBO series Game of Thrones. They even have it, they have it right down here size-wise, but they don't have it right here. They've made this a monster-looking thing. I don't know exactly what the hell they were thinking. And here's a Simildon, the saber-toothed cat. It's not a saber-toothed tiger, that's a misnomer. This one's approximately the right size here. So there you go on that, and let's see if there's anything else we're seeing over here. Oh, here's a skeleton, and some more skeletons. Muskox skull, there's muskox still. The mammoth molar teeth. If you come here and watch the video, at the first they've got about a 4-minute video. The mammoth opens its mouth and it's got 4 of these in there to chew stuff. And here's the skeleton, so you see what it looks like without any flesh on it. Like I said, the Indians called it the grandfather of bison. I want to point out one thing. There's a video, what looks like a mammoth crossing a river in Siberia. If you really look at it closely, it's actually a grizzly bear with a large salmon in its mouth. It's not a mammoth. Now there is one other mammoth video that might be actually real. It's from a special forces expedition into Russia. That one might actually be real, I don't know. But the one where he's crossing the rivers, it's actually a grizzly bear with a large salmon in its mouth. So anyway, they were all knocked out by the Noahic flood, and like I said, it was that flood, the purpose of that was to knock out the line that Christ was going to come through, because they were being corrupted by fallen angels. And that's all I got. Thank you. Bye.